Okay, we're going to consider the following quadratic equation where y is equal to x squared plus 2 times the square root of 2x minus 3. We want to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the x and y intercepts, and then we want to graph the quadratic equation using the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the intercepts. So the first thing we want to do is let's identify what is the values of a, b, and c. We know the value of a is 1. We know the value of b is 2 times the square root of 2. And we know the value of c is negative 3. Okay, now since a is equal to 1 and that's greater than 0, that means that this is going to open up. Okay, so number 2, we want to be able to figure out what are the coordinates of the vertex. So we know that h is going to equal negative b divided by 2a. So that becomes negative 2 times the square root of 2 over 2 times 1. Well, if we take 2 and divide it by 2, then what's left is the negative square root of 2. And then the value of k is going to be f of negative square root of 2. So in our function, we're going to plug in the negative square root of 2 for x, and we're going to square it here. And then this is plus 2 times the square root of 2 times negative square root of 2. And that's x, and that's minus 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify here. When we square the square root of negative 2, it's going to give us a positive. It's going to eliminate the radical sign, so it's going to be 2 plus 2 times, well, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2 with the negative, so this is negative 2, and then this is minus 3. So then that gives us 2 minus 4 minus 3, which is equal to negative 5. So now we know what the vertex is. And the vertex is located at negative square root of 2 and negative 5. Okay, so we know that the axis of symmetry is going to equal x, which is equal to negative square root of 2. So therefore, that is our axis of symmetry. We also know that this negative 5 is a minimum value. Okay, now, next step is we need to find our x and y intercepts. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to find our x-intercepts by setting y equals 0 or f of x, which is equal to 0. Okay, now remember here that the standard form is f of x, which is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. So we have f of x, which is equal to the value of a in our problem was 1 times x minus, well, h is negative square root of 2, and then we're going to square that, and then k is minus 5. So let's go ahead and finish that part again. So we have f of x, which is equal to 1 times x plus the square root of 2 squared minus 5. And now recall that we want to let f of x equal 0 to find the x-intercepts. So therefore, this is going to be 0, which is equal to x plus the square root of 2 squared minus 5. So if we add 5 to both sides, then we get x plus the square root of 2 squared. And then we're going to take the square root of both sides. So we have plus or minus the square root of 5, which is equal to x plus the square root of 2. And now if we solve for x, we have to subtract the square root of 2 of both sides. So we have negative square root of 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. So that means we have two x-intercepts. Okay, the first x-intercept is negative square root of 2 minus the square root of 5. and then 0. And the other one is negative square root of 2 plus the square root of 5, and then 0. Now let's find the decimal equivalent of negative square root of 2 minus the square root of 5, and we can round that to, let's say, 2 decimal places. So we end up getting negative 3.65, and that's 0. And if we take negative square root of 2, and then we add the square root of 5, then we get 0.820. So those are our x-intercepts. Now we need to find our y-intercept. Okay, so in order to find y-intercept, we need to let x equal 0 of our function. So recall what our function is, which is x squared plus 2 times the square root of x minus 3. So y is equal to x squared plus 2 times the square root of 2x minus 3. So let's plug in 0. So we have 0 squared plus 2 times the square root of 2 times 0 minus 3. So we get y, which is equal to negative 3. So therefore we have 0, negative 3 is our y-intercept. So now we can go ahead and then graph this. Okay, so we can first graph this. We know that we need to determine what is negative square root of 2 for our vertex. Well, we know that if we want to write this in to round it to 2 decimal places, it's negative 1.41 and then negative 5. Okay, so if we go to negative 1.41 and then go down to negative 5, then we can say that there is the vertex. So this is negative 1.41 and then negative 5. Okay, and then we also have our x-intercepts, which are located at negative 3.65 and 0. So if we go to negative 3.65, somewhere located right here, so we know that this represents negative 3.65 and then 0. And we also have 0.820, so there's the other x-intercept, which is located there. So that is 0.82 and then 0. Okay, and then what else do we know? We know that the axis of symmetry is going to go through the following. So the axis of symmetry is x, which is equal to negative 1.41. So let's go ahead and draw our axis of symmetry. Through that point. So there is our axis of symmetry. And that means that we know that x is equal to negative square root of 2, which is also equal to approximately negative 1.41. Okay, and now we can then create our parabola. So there is our one half of the parabola, and there's the other half of the parabola. And then let's make sure that we have our y-intercept, and we can see that there's our y-intercept located at 0, negative 3. Okay, and so now what we want to do is now we're going to confirm our results by graphing this on Desmos. So we're going to graph the function x squared plus 2 times the square root of 2. Use your arrow key to move to the right. And that's x, and that's minus 3. And let's take a look at all the points that are plotted here. So we know that the vertex is located at negative 1.41, negative 5. We have a y-intercept at 0, negative 3. We have an x-intercept at negative 3.650. And then we have our other x-intercept at 0.820. And then we also have our our line of symmetry, which is x, which is equal to negative square root of 2. So therefore that goes right down the middle of the parabola.